What's up, guys, and welcome back to Summer Lunch Break. For today's episode, we sit down with 2021 Masters Women's Pro Wake Champion, Mary Morgan Howell. For this episode, we join Mary Morgan via video chat on campus at Rollins College. But we're not talking study guides and pop quizzes, we're talking wakeboarding. As we all know, this sport takes determination and drive, and Mary Morgan is a perfect example of the hard work pays off mentality. During today's chat, she shares her thoughts on the importance of community within the wake world, how closely women's wake has grown since the introduction of the Moxie Pro Series, and what it was like landing the top spot at this year's Nautique Masters. Not only is Mary Morgan a Masters champion, she's a two-time best trick winner and two-time fan vote winner at the Moxie Pro Series, as well as a 2019 silver medalist at the Pro-Am Games. To say this girl is on her come up would be a drastic understatement because she's already reached the top and is still climbing. Here she is, Mary Morgan Howell.
You know what I'm really scared about is if the wakeboarders get too close to shore, they may use some people on the shore as bonking items.
Summer Lunch Break.
I'm so excited, Summer. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am good. Just enjoying the nice Florida fall weather, I guess we could say.
Beautiful there. Looks like
it is
a
actually,
good day.
It's beautiful. It's like 80 degrees, a little partly cloudy. It's perfect.
Yeah. Where are you right now?
I am at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida.
Beautiful. I love it. Can we get a little area? Can we get a little view of where you are?
Oh, yes. So this is the college behind me here. And then I'm sitting right here on the shore of Lake Virginia.
Beautiful. I love it. Yay. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get right into it. I'm going to ask you the most important question. For once, I'm finally interviewing someone at lunchtime in Florida. So
yes.
Have you had lunch yet? What did you have? What do you plan on having? I need to know.
Summer, I actually just got off the water like an hour ago. And I don't know about our listeners here, but when I get off the water, I am starving. So I had to go ahead and eat something. And so I actually hit up the dining hall here at Rollins, and they have the best little like sandwich station. It's like the most fresh, awesome version of like Subway. It's the best. They have all different types of breads, wraps, meats, all the veggies, cheese, any condiments. It's the best. Beautiful. And they even toast them. Wow. So today I got a sandwich on wheat, turkey sandwich with avocado on it, little spinach in there, some onion, got it all toasted, extra toasty. So I just finished it.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Well, I hope it was as delicious as it sounds, because wow, now I want a sandwich and it's only 9:30 here.
Yeah, you know what? It's okay. If you want a sandwich 9:30, Summer, you should go for it.
You eat a sandwich whenever you want. Okay. I could talk about sandwiches all day, but we are here to talk about you. So with every interview, I like to start with whoever I'm talking to. I like to start with their story of how they got into wakeboarding, because everybody's story is super different, but also not so different at the same time. So let's hear it. Your first early experience on a wakeboard, what was that like?
Yay, I love it. I love this question too. I think it's so interesting to find out like how we all like got this thing that we all enjoy so much. It's really, really cool. So I actually do not even remember the first time I put on a wakeboard. I was 6 years old. My dad grew up like in doing all the water stuff, like kneeboarding, barefooting, skiing, like slaloming, just everything. And so we had a family lake house. When I was about 5, we decided to get our own little spot on the lake. Just as my parents, I was the first child, so they could see the family expanding a little bit, their own little family expanding. So they got their own place, and my dad got a boat, and he wanted to teach me how to do something other than tube on the lake because he knew that we'd be at the lake a lot.
Yeah.
So this was around the time that wakeboarding was really starting to pop. And so he put me on a wakeboard, and literally do not remember life without it. So Dad, thank you so much. But yeah, it's so special. And it just, it's the lake time and the wakeboard time. It just really gave us a unique avenue to pursue family time. And it just really made us grow close as a family over all the many years.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, and you talked about your dad, thanking him for that. I've read and seen so much about how influential he is in your life. So I would love to kind of hear a little bit about your guys' relationship and what he means to you.
Oh, totally. So first of all, I got to give the mom some attention too. My mom is like the best ever as well. She is awesome. She didn't grow up on the water, so she didn't get me into it, but she is like the biggest cheerleader ever. So got to give her some props too.
Props to mom.
Totally. But yes, my dad and I's relationship is super duper special. My dad, literally, there's not been one time in my entire career, so I'm 18 now, from the time I was 6 to 18, that he has not been motivating me or being ready to get me out on the water, pull me. It's really special. We got, just throughout all the years, he was the one who was pulling me almost every single day. It was between my dad and my coach, Andrew Atkinson. So shout out to you, Andrew. But yeah, so my dad's an orthodontist back home. So he pretty much totally tailored his work schedule to work around my training schedule.
That's amazing.
So very, very special. Not many people would do that for their children. So I'm very thankful. And yeah, so he basically just tailored his entire work schedule to allow me to get my training in, which I'm forever grateful for. And it gave us a lot of time to chat, because we had about a 45-minute car ride back and forth to the lake. So we had some amazing discussions in those times. And then obviously just being out on the water together and just, having him being there for me. And of course, it was not always pretty, but it was just such a special time. And it's just so amazing. And then once again, my mom, got to get back to her. She was the nurturing one. She was like, "How are you okay, baby?" So anyway, so yeah, it was just super special relationship for sure. Could not be more thankful.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always good to have a really strong support system, especially when it's right there at home. So that's awesome. I'll have to ask,
everything.
With all your training and everything, being out on the lake all the time, was riding at a professional level and competing, was that ever the goal, or did it kind of just happen like that?
Yeah, so basically, so I started competing in INT tournaments, which are little local tournaments in Alabama when I was 8. We got introduced to those through a local dealer. They're like, "Hey, you should try out little tournaments." And we're like, "Okay." And we went to these tournaments. We didn't know what hillside and toe side was. We were just going just to have a fun time. And then through that, we were introduced to the WWA, which is the World Wakeboard Association. And so I was 10 years old when I started doing those competitions. And kind of a funny story, back in the INT days, we didn't have it wasn't super populated. So I would just compete with the guys just so I'd have some competition.
Yeah.
And I remember going to my first WWA tournament, rolling up, and my dad said, "Hey, Morgan, I have to tell you something." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Today you get to compete with girls." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So that was my first WWA tournament when I was 10. And it was really cool because when I went to the WWA, it's the world. So there's girls from all over the place. My age, had no idea that even existed, doing things way better than me. And it really, really motivated me just to see these other girls doing the same thing that I was doing. So that's kind of where my competition started. And then when I was about 13, I was in 6th grade. I don't know, something just kind of shifted in my brain, and I realized that I really wanted to pursue this wakeboarding thing. So I actually was in just going to regular middle school, and my parents allowed me to start being homeschooled. So that's really when I started really focusing on my training, focusing on just everything that comes with that, training on and off the water, nutrition, all that kind of stuff. And I got into really just I wasn't necessarily thinking oh, I want to go pro, but it was really more of a personal, I just want to be the best I can be.
Yeah.
And then when I was 15, yeah, when I was 15 when I was 14, my dad's like kind of just mentioned to me, hey, do you think you want to go pro next year? And I had not even thought about that. You know, like when you watch people that are just so much better than you, you just like, you know, you either think like, you know, oh, I'm going to be there someday, or you think like, oh, I'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I kind of fell into the, oh, I'll never be able to do that category. Not like downing myself, but just I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
And so I went pro and was definitely not, I wouldn't say I was ready to go pro, but being with the pro women was amazing. They were all so supportive of me. And really just being in that atmosphere really just kind of made me want to push myself really hard and improve upon the tricks I was doing and obviously learn new ones. And so, yeah, it was kind of interesting how there wasn't like a specific goal in mind of I want to be pro one day. It just kind of all just built on each other, just little by little, step by step. And, you know, stepping out in faith too, like that was a really hard thing to do. But just knowing that, you know, I had the support of my dad, my coach, my family behind me, it made the transition easier.
Oh, cool. Was transferring to homeschool, was that difficult, or was the goal of like being on the lake every day kind of like, okay, school, lake time, you know, like how did that work for you?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. It was my mom who, and that's why I have to thank her too, because she really, she was basically sitting in a meeting at my school about, you know, like going into 7th grade. And she said she just felt like this sense inside of her that was just like, no, she does not need to be here anymore. So she mentioned homeschooling to me. And it was kind of the same thing for me. I didn't really feel like, oh my gosh, I want to do it. And I also didn't feel like I don't want to do it. It was just kind of like a feeling of like, this is just the right next step.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was challenging for sure. Like sometimes, you know, not being able to attend some homecomings and proms and stuff like that. But when you have a goal in your mind that you want to achieve, and that's like one of the most important things to you, those other little things you can let slide. So, you know, when I would feel a little bit like, oh, like I want to do whatever, just keeping the why in my brain of why I was doing what I was doing really propelled me through that time.
That's rad to hear. Well, awesome. You've had such an amazing build up to kind of where you are now. Wakeboarding Bag has named you wakeboarding's new it girl. What does that feel like?
That is very kind of them to say that. Very, very, very kind of them to say that. No, it's so amazing. It's so appreciated to have the support, you know, within the wake community, because I think that's what it's all about. You know, of course the competitions are great, and I love competitions, of course, that's what I do. But at the end of the day, it's all about community and all about having the supportive community. And so, you know, I mean, that's really all that's ever going to last. You know, we can only compete for so long. We can only honestly wakeboard for so long. So yeah, the community aspect of it is such a blessing. And I feel like the wakeboard community is just the best out there. So I'm so thankful. Really just like the lake, like water sport people industry in general. It's just,
I know, they're the best. We're the best, aren't we?
We are the best. Oh my goodness. Everybody
can know how to have the best fun. We know how to have the most fun.
Totally. Everybody can just give themselves a pat on the back.
Yeah. Everybody watching. Good for you.
That's right.
Oh, I love it. Well, we do want to talk a little bit about, you know, competitive riding within the community, but also focusing on your accomplishments this year, or the 2021 Masters first place. What was that like? I want all the details on it.
Yeah, that was incredibly special. It was amazing. I mean, so the Masters, like, I'm gonna give you some history. My dad, like I said, he grew up, you know, skiing and just being on the water in general. And all of his friends, he's always told me the story of like how special the Masters is. All of his friends always got to go to the Masters, and he never got the opportunity to go, not compete in the Masters, but just watch.
Yeah.
He never got the opportunity to go watch in the Masters, and he always just heard about his friends talking like Callaway Gardens. And so when I made it to the Masters for the first time the previous year, he was so excited just to be there, and I was so excited to like be the vehicle that was that allowed him to go. So that was already special. And so, you know, just going and being there is special. But winning, man, that it felt very, very cool. And to do it on Robin Lake, I mean, all the history, it's a really, really cool feeling. One that I will definitely never ever forget. And then, you know, also that was the start of the season. That was the very first tournament. So that was, you know, coming out of a very, for some reason, very brutal Alabama winter. It just was freezing. And so, you know, just every single day pushing through that cold, getting out there and just once again kind of keeping the why of why I'm doing what I'm doing in mind. Because I'll tell you what, when you jump in that 40-something degree water, and I know there are probably some listening right now, they're like, 40 degrees is nothing. 40 degrees is very cold to me. So yeah, when your water temperature and your air temperature don't add up to 100, it's extremely miserable. So doing that, you know, all winter was really hard, but just like keeping that why in my mind. And then when I stood atop the podium, it made it worth it. And it would have been worth it no matter what place I would have gotten. You know, all I want to do at these tournaments is do my best and do what I know that I can do. So no matter where that shakes out, but when it does get you number one, it feels really dang good. So it was a great moment.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And you got some pretty cool hardware for winning too. That ring was awesome.
I should have brought the ring. I left it at home. I should have brought that ring.
Is it like super heavy on your hand?
It's relatively heavy. It's like heavy enough to be like, oh, I have a heavy ring. It's really cool. But it's not like, oh, droopy finger.
I can't imagine that's like a daily thing that you wear, right?
No, ma'am, we do not wear it every day. It is displayed in a little case just for looking. But it is really, really cool.
Yeah, totally. Not only did you get the ring as hardware, you have some silver medal hardware, right?
I do have some silver medal hardware.
Yeah, let's talk about, it was 2019 Pro-Am?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So myself, not super familiar with that whole event. I almost had no idea. I really had to do a lot of research on it, but I want to get your story on it for myself and people out there who are like me that didn't really know that that was a thing.
Yeah, so cool. So basically what she's talking about, guys, is the Pan American Games. And so 2019 was the first time that the women's wakeboarding was in the Pan American Games. So it was really, really cool. Basically, the Pan American Games are the Olympic trials, which right now for wakeboarding, that's kind of like the highest level that you can go before you'd hit like Olympic status. So it was really cool. Like there were a bunch of like, you know, well-known Olympic gymnasts and like volleyball players. I mean, like everybody was there. We got like the Olympic Village situation. I mean, everything about the Olympic, it was so cool and so special too, just because it was so, you know, it was a monumental moment. It was the first time women's wakeboarding had ever even been invited to go. So to be there the first time, it was really cool. But it was actually a unique experience getting to that point. Just a year prior, we had the qualifier for the Pan American Games, which was in Guadalajara, Mexico. And just about a month before, I'm saying it was about a month. Yeah, maybe like a month and a half before the qualifier, Hurricane Michael tore through my area and just completely demolished my entire lake. Thankfully, my house and my boat were spared by the grace of God. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And so yeah, but like we couldn't get in the lake, couldn't really, you know, it was just in that month and a half leading up to the qualifier for the Pan American Games. It was not about me and my training. And as most of our listeners will understand, you know, when you're coming into a tournament, it is about your training. Like, you know, you want to be confident, you want to feel good on all your tricks, all your passes, all that kind of stuff. So to really have like to shift mentally and just say, it's not about me right now, it's about my community. And didn't wakeboard for about a month, maybe got like one set in before went to the qualifier. And so actually ended up winning the qualifier, which qualified me to go to the Pan American Games. So it was a really, really unique story leading up to it. So not only were the Pan American Games special, but just the whole entire thing, you know, over the course of 2 years was really, really special. So
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I had no
Yes.
idea that you guys went through that before going to something so, immensely huge for you that you had to
Right.
really, deal with some battles. That's crazy. Good
Crazy,
on you.
crazy.
That's amazing. Well, we want to talk a little bit too about kind of more competitive riding, specifically
Yeah.
in women's riding.
Mhm.
The Moxie Pro Series. I follow that religiously because it's very important to me as a girl in the industry. And it's
Yes.
important to everybody, but I take a special liking to it. So we
Yes.
want to talk about I want to read these because I don't want to say them wrong because I've put it in little tiny font on my sheet here. But
Perfect.
fan vote winner in both 2021 and 2020. What's that like to kind of carry on and continually win that, award?
Oh, it means a whole lot, a whole lot. Like I mentioned before, community is extremely important to me. It's what I'm the most passionate about and am the most thankful for, and realize that that's truly what life is about. So to have that support is it's really cool. I mean, winning it is cool. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, everybody, all of those girls have an amazing community behind them. But to win it, it does feel good. So very, very
Yeah,
cool.
totally. Not only that, but best trick too, wasn't it? Oh, what was it? I know what it is. It's a Tosai 720. Isn't that the trick that you won it with?
I did. It was this year. Oh my goodness. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, you're
Yes,
so
I
welcome.
did. Yes, I did win best trick this year. Yes, with my toe side 7. Yes.
Yeah, congratulations on that as well. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. Oh, I almost forgot. Body Glove Girl 2020.
Yes, that's
So
right.
what is that like? Because I was trying to figure out exactly what that means, and I
Hmm.
don't know for sure. So I'd love kind of your take on it, your explanation of it.
Yeah, so basically what that means is, well, last year was basically I got a contract with Body Glove. And so yeah, just been really, really cool just to get to know that company and just to get to work with them a little bit and get to kind of get to know all the people in the company. It was a really, really cool thing, and so cool how we were able to get that through a competition. That was
Yeah,
definitely a unique
totally.
experience.
Seriously, they've done a lot for that series. Speaking of the Moxie Pro, I want to ask, what does an event and competition like that mean to you, like not only as a rider, but just as an individual in the water sports industry?
Oh yeah, it was so cool. I think it's really special just to have, like, for the women to have like their own little thing. Um it's honestly, it was really bonding for us too. I feel
Yeah,
like, I don't know, just to kind of like all just like have our own thing and be able to support one another and push one another. I mean, I personally feel like women's wakeboarding this year was pushed more than, well, I can speak from my time frame, more than I have ever seen it be pushed. So to have these events put on for us that kind of
yeah,
force us to like push ourselves was really, really cool, really special this year, especially, for
totally.
sure.
Yeah. And you say, that it was pushed. By that, do you mean that it's kind of grown more than you've seen it
Yeah, I
previous
definitely
years?
think it's grown more, for sure. And then also just our, the girls writing in general. I mean, my goodness, it was amazing. It was amazing, just the
Yeah.
growth in each and every one of us.
It seemed like, you guys were definitely really cool about pushing each other and kind of supporting one another throughout the competition rather than kind
Right.
of having like a head-to-head attitude. It was much more of like a building each other up, which I think is so cool in competition riding like that.
It really is. It's a really special thing, and we have a awesome group of girls right now, who I think just realize that we cannot do it without each other. If we did not have each other and we weren't pushing each other, there wouldn't be a thing like this. So
Yeah.
we want each other to succeed. It's really, really cool. And a thing I like to say is, a win for somebody else is not a loss for you. There's enough success to go around in the world for everybody to get some. And so I think, and also success is not everything. So it's really, really, really cool that we can all push each other, and it makes it just so much more light and fun, because honestly, like, these tournaments are important, but they should be a reward for all of the hard work that we put in, because
Totally.
90% of the work, give or take, is done outside of the tournaments. When you get to the tournament, that should be your time just to rely on what you've done and just actually enjoy the experience. And sometimes for a lot of us who don't, live locally, that's like the only time we get to see each other. And it's a really, really special relationship that we all have because we all get each other, you know? And so from an athletic standpoint, from a water standpoint, just like we were saying, water people are the best people. So it's a really, really cool thing. And I'm so glad that we're all able to keep it in a healthy perspective.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like you guys have done such a good job. So like a huge shout out from me and everyone here for all you women riders that have you've made the sport such a wonderful thing, and the competition version of it's just so rad to see. So we're all hyped on it, and we're hyped to see what comes next year and all that jazz. So I do want to kind of touch on the Pro Wakeboard Tour Team Challenge because women were involved in that, and that was the first time something like that has ever happened. So what was that like for you, riding with Team Ronix and competing in an event like that?
I'll have to tell you, that was probably the highlight, one of the highlights of the season. Yeah. It was very, very special, very fun. It was just so cool. Like, I've never felt a tournament like feel like that before. You know, of course, like the team aspect of like having, you know, your board company's representative was really, really cool. But then also just kind of like the vibe was just so chill. It was so like light and fun, and of course there was some, you know, funny going back and forth with each other. Obviously it was just funny. But yeah, it was very, very special. It was definitely like a bonding experience for the riders on the same team, just to really support each other, because, you know, wakeboarding, obviously it takes a team to get you where you are. It does. You know, it takes, you know, my dad being with me on the boat, Andrew coaching me, someone, you know, getting me down to the lake. It takes a team to do it. But when you're out there in the water, it's really just you. So it truly is an individual sport. So to feel that like team aspect was really cool. Yeah. You know, I haven't really ever felt much like my parents and my coaches are amazing. Like, they're not, you know, necessarily like awards or performance based like at the tournaments. Like, they always just want me to do my very, very best. You know, they see me put in the work. That's all that they care about. But I've never felt that like, oh, I don't want to let anyone down. Like, I'm so grateful that I haven't ever felt like that before. But here at the team challenge, I was like, oh my gosh, like Massey, Tyler, I don't want to let them down. So it was really a unique little like experience. It was so cool. And PWT and everybody, Supra, did such an amazing alliance, did such an amazing job of just making it fun for us and just making it an awesome, awesome experience.
Yeah, totally. Did you feel any pressure from Tyler and Moxie at all?
No. I did not feel pressure from them. They were so sweet. They were so sweet about it. They, you know, come up to me right before I go off the dock and slap me on the back and just get me all pumped up. So no negative pressure.
Okay, cool. Well, that's the first competition that I have ever seen in person. So to hear, you know, from someone who competed in it, that was like one of the highlights, that just gets me all fired up, because I'm like, oh my God, like I got to watch that happen. That's so cool. That's where we got to meet. So,
I know.
Yeah, dude, that was so awesome. When you told me I looked familiar, I was like, you must have like, I don't know what happened while you were out there, if you landed too hard or something, because we've never met. But
we have never met.
I'm definitely glad that we did, because that was really, really cool.
It was definitely meant to be. I don't know. For some reason, you maybe you have a twin somewhere out there. You know,
I've never met like, you know how everybody has a doppelganger, that it's like that's the person that's like the other you in this world. I've never met mine, and it's really a goal of mine to have that happen.
Girl, if I find her, because she's probably somewhere in my life, I will send her your way.
Send her to me. Yeah, send her straight to me, and I'll do the same for you. I'll work on that.
Yes, please do.
Okay, we'll touch back, you know, a little bit. We touched on like mental kind of state in those competitions and pressure on yourself, pressure from others, you know.
Right.
So do you feel pressure from yourself or others to represent women's wakeboarding? Do you feel a weight? Like a weight on your shoulders from that? Sorry.
No, you're good, girl. I think for me, mainly, I've always just been more like a little bit, it's going to sound bad when I say it, but just a little bit more self-focused, because I truly think any kind of change in the world or in just any industry, any whatever, comes from yourself. And so I'm always concerned with, what I'm doing. They say if you want to change the world, like, look at yourself.
Yeah.
And so what I want to be for the sport is just a positive energy, a positive light within the sport of women's wakeboarding. And I want to do my best in the tournaments to really, or in general in wakeboarding, just to push myself past the points where I think I can go. And that comes by, surrounding yourself with the right people who push you and who can push you past your limits. And so I don't feel any kind of, pressure to whatever with women's wakeboarding, but I do feel a pressure, just from myself, just to continue to just push myself and get better, well equipped and all that kind of stuff. So for sure.
Yeah. Where do you think that inner drive comes from within yourself? Where would you say that is that a learned thing? Do you think it's just you were born that way? I mean, where does it come from?
Yeah, I definitely think that some people, I mean, obviously personalities are very, very different. My personality definitely is one where I am very driven with every single thing, almost to a fault. I think every good personality trait definitely has its pros and cons. So I was definitely born with that in me. My dad was extremely the same way, and I feel like I got that from him. But also it's a learned thing. Just throughout the years, especially when I was homeschooled, I love wakeboarding more than anything in this world. But of course, there were some days where I didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get on the water at 6 to go train. There's some days where you don't feel like it. And that's when that why comes in. And you have to remember why you're doing what you're doing, because it's not going to always be fun. And if you want that success, if you want to be your best, you're going to have to go sometimes past when you're motivated. You cannot rely on motivation to carry you through, because motivation's going up and down. It's like this, it's up and down. So you have to really just focus on your why, and you have to turn your want tos into have tos. So I think it is learned just over time, just pushing yourself outside of that, because when you get on that start dock of the tournament, I personally, like, I want to know there was not one day that I just said, oh, I don't feel like it today, I'm too tired, and it also comes with having a good schedule. Like for me personally, and this differs from person to person and just with what you're available to do, I take off one day a week. So like, I know there's one day throughout the week that I take off. So like, if I'm training normally, I should not, be like, oh, I don't want to go because of this or that, the other. Now, if I'm feeling physically unable, of course I don't go, but it is about, just learning to push yourself when you don't want to do things.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm just going to say this real quick. It's really good that you are focusing on communications at school, because the way that you talk and like represent yourself is absolutely amazing. Like, if anything, you should be teaching a class there right now. Like, it's crazy. I had to tell you.
You are very sweet, Summer. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Okay, big question here too. I want to ask this.
Mm-hmm.
If you summed it all up into one sentence, what would you say to all the riders out there that are having that day of like, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do it, it's too difficult, I can't today, this is why, that's why. If you had one sentence that you were going to tell them that, would make them do it, what would it be?
That's a really, really good question. I'll just tell you, the sentence that runs through my head.
Yeah.
I got two sentences.
Okay,
I'll give you double.
I like it. 2 for 1.
Number one, the first thing that goes through my head is, how bad do you really want it?
Yeah.
And the second one would definitely be, if it were easy, everybody would do it. And that really, really motivates me, because I think we as humans tend to look at other people for like, what we should be doing. And a lot of times, like, I mean, we're all made so uniquely different, and that's just what makes the world go round. We all have different needs, different, things going on. So when I think about like, if it were easy, everybody would do it. Like, that's why not everybody gets to stand atop a podium, because they're not willing to put the work and the effort in that it takes to get there. So when you ask yourself, how bad do I really want it? You answer that question, and you know what to do. You know what to do after that.
I love it. Well, it seems so. Contest season is over, right? We're kind of going into the off season.
It is. It is. And I want to add one more thing to that.
Yes.
I should tell anybody listening. Oftentimes, like I said, once again, everybody's different, but I have had some of my best sets when I didn't feel like going. So push outside of it. I know it's hard to push, but also listen to your body. See, it's a fine balance. But yes, so competition season has concluded. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is the off season looking like for you?
Yeah, so the off season is not such an off season, which I don't want it to be either. I love it to death. But in the off season, it's really, really cool how you can kind of just focus on progressing your riding, because you don't have, that, I have a tournament in the back of your head kind of thing. So you can really progress your riding, try new things. This is the opportunity just to get better. And obviously geographically, it kind of depends on where you are in the world, but here in Florida, we're blessed with good weather. So we're able to stay on the water year round. So really just focusing on progressing your riding, and then also just getting physically stronger. During the summer, it's, with all of the riding, all the tournaments, it's harder to focus on your off water training, as far as strength training or whatever. Like, you want to keep your body healthy, number one, for wakeboarding. And that's always what I try to do. But in the winter, I do specifically kind of go into land training mode, really trying to get my body stronger and kind of honestly back to where I was to start the season next year. So
yeah, totally. What does that look like? Kind of your training regimen. What do you focus on primarily when you are doing that land training?
Right. So land training, I definitely consists for me of strength training, and that was a journey for me, and I'm still kind of figuring it out. But once again, everyone's body is different. They need to figure out what works for them. I've gone through just, throughout the years, ever since I was about 13, just many different styles of training. And really for me, what I found to be the best is to do low impact cardio plus, strength training, very simple stuff, like very basic moves. I don't try to get too creative. I think that's when weird things happen. So I just like to just keep it simple with my movements. And I tend to go pretty low weight, high rep. I would love to be able to just throw up some big weights, but that for me is when my body tends to get hurt. And here again, I'm about to tie in the why again. I have to really keep in mind too with the gym of just, why am I doing this? I'm not doing this to be a bodybuilder or to be the next CrossFitter. I'm doing this for the benefit of my sport. So also keeping in kind of why you're doing what you're tailoring your land training to your water training.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, that aren't competitive riders, they maybe don't understand the work that it takes to have that constant, like, I got to get up, I got to go do it, even though I'm not on the water every single day sort of thing. Totally. So it's cool to hear like that, you guys are out there and you're training and you're working hard. It's definitely awesome to hear about that. So definitely. We're going to slowly come to a close. I do like to give you the opportunity to do a little sponsor shout out if you would like to. Now's your time.
Totally. Well, I would like to say a huge thank you to Ronix Wakeboards. So exciting news. I have a board coming out with Ronix for 2022. I'm sorry, 2021. My gosh. I'm just trying to 2021, 2022. Duh. Yes. It's called the Ronix Rise. It is fantastic. I am so excited about it. And I just would encourage anybody, if you can get your hands on it, please give it a try and send me an Instagram DM or whatever. Let me know how you like it. I absolutely love it. I landed my very first 720 on it, so it was really, really cool. Has a special place in my heart for sure. And it was kind of designed to be tailored towards people who are pro and beginners. Like it's absolutely fantastic. Throughout the testing process, I had just recently landed my first 7, and then was able to take it over to the boarding school down here in Orlando and put some beginners on it, and they loved it too. And I just thought to myself, how in the world can we create a wakeboard that would allow me to do 720s, but also a beginner loves and feels safe and confident on? It's amazing. So anybody out there, if you get your hands on it, Ronix Rise is for you. Love it. And yeah, obviously another shout out to Body Glove. Love them. Love them. And so thankful for all their support this year. So yeah, it's been a fantastic year.
It's been awesome to watch you grow and progress and do all the great things you've been doing. And I cannot wait to see what you do next year. So
Thank you, Summer.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Summer. This was so much fun. Always a pleasure talking to you. And
It's-
this is the second time we've talked, but it was such a pleasure.
I feel like I've known you forever, so
I know,
it's more than twice in my mind. But thank you so much for being here, Mary Morgan.
Thank you, Summer.
Bye bye.